Okay, we are working now. We're going to start this again, I think. Well, okay. Sorry for the delay, folks. Here we go. Okay, this one here. Perfect. Oh, this is better.
On the dock of the bay, I dip my feet in the water, or I wish I had. It doesn't matter now. I told you stories that I told everyone else, and you listen like I shared a secret with a child. I had river water on my hands as I cupped your face and asked you where we stand, and you said you smell nice with no perfume. I like that scent of only you. I like that scent of only
So,
you.
very good evening from
You
DA
look like
Musical
one of those
HQ
nights
in
full
Spandau in the west of
educated
Berlin.
guys that think that
Apologies for the audio gremlins. Every now and then there's a gremlin that creeps in and we just need to solve it. But yeah, lovely to have you guys on board. We've got a great show this evening with Erika Severyns. Some of you will know her and of course others will not. So we will certainly find out a lot about her and get to hear some of her music, which is going to be great. Just a little bit of a query for everybody. If you want to subscribe and hear some more of these shows that I do, then definitely go ahead and subscribe, and then just hit the notification bell so that you can get notifications for all of the shows that come up. And yeah, if you want to support the show and support musicians as well at the same time, then sign up as a groupie. That would be cool. Anyway, without much further ado, we're going to go over my shoulder here and go and say hi to Erika. And there we go. Gremlins out of the way. Thank you very much. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
Welcome. We've managed to get everything going. Had a little glitch, but great.
Oh, you're good. You just made me listen to my own song twice, which is like the equivalent of torture for musicians, I think.
Sorry about that. Anyway, tell me, give us a little bit of background about you. Like, I know we were talking earlier, and it's an interesting background.
Well, I was born in Russia, so I'm half Russian, half Belgian, and I moved to Belgium when I was 10, and then to London a few years ago, where I lived in a hostel full of Aussies, which is why I sound like one right now, having never been to Australia. And in September I came to Berlin. So that's kind of the short version of it, I think.
Fantastic. And you arrived in Berlin in a strange period of time.
It's been quite depressing. But I got pretty lucky because I got here right before the second lockdown, so I had just enough time to meet some people, and ended up stumbling on the nights at Space Medusa and Kinderstuben, so I met a lot of really great people right before lockdown, so I didn't really spend it alone, which was really nice.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, at least you got a little bit of what Berlin should be like.
Well, it's starting to come back now.
Yeah.
It's actually really overwhelming with everything being open. I was talking to a friend about it the other day. Like, we're all getting a little sick, like just from like the exhaustion of having to see people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice, but at the same time it's like, well, it was also nice when I was alone, actually. So it takes getting used to again,
It does. I think like some people can cope with it better than others. Being on their own, and others need people all the time. Which and I think that would have been a huge battle for some people.
That's true. For me, lockdown was amazing. I'm an introvert, and I have my own little routines. So lockdown for me was the perfect excuse, to just stick to them and not have to go out. But I did miss the option of cancelling plans, you know. Like now at least I can do that again.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, for me, I'm also one of those introverts, and I think it was certainly easy for me to spend months and months here just kind of taking it easy and doing my thing. And yeah, well, anyway, great. I think the reason why we are here is to listen to some of your music. So tell me, what have you got planned for us?
Well, I've got a few new songs. They're mostly new songs, actually. Because, well, and the last time I had a gig was in October, so since then I have written new music. So I have a new song about my mum. I've got one about, because I spent a big part of lockdown I spent in Belgium back home with my parents. And it was the first time in a few years that I was, you know, hanging out with them on a daily basis. And it was quite funny, actually, because I realised when I was in London, every time I'd get mad, I'd call my mum and just shout at her, you know. Like, she's done nothing wrong, but it's just like such a great outlet for all my anger. Because she's a mother, you know, she can't just be like, all right, well, I'll never talk to you again now. And I kind of took that for granted, and I think I realised that living with them was like, oh, I can't really do that now because we actually live in the same space. But I wrote a song about it, and yeah, wouldn't mind playing it if.
Please do. What is the song title?
Tea with Mother.
Great.
Men I loved, you pressed your lips together, fighting back the words. You were working on being less critical of me, so I'd stop disrupting your cult of domesticity. I don't know why you thought that I'd grow out of it. I haven't given you any reason to hope for it. So, let me stand a little closer to the edge. I don't hurt easily anymore, and pain turns into knowledge at some point. That's what at least that's what I'm hoping for. Sometimes I call you just to fight. You know exactly what not to say to me. And we both so intent on being right. To the edge, I don't hurt easily anymore, and pain turns into knowledge at some point. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Throw ourselves into the fire and ask for happiness time after time. What do you do when you can't put it out? Did I get there from you? And can you live with it? And can you live with it? And can you live with it? And do
Wow, fantastic. That's our first live song up and running. Great. How's it sound for you?
Yeah, all good, eh? Thank you.
Fantastic. Excellent. At least the sound is working now, eh? All right. So, I've got a couple of questions here. We'll just dance around these questions if we can.
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Why did you become a musician? What made you sort of go this route?
Oh, well, my mum forced me to. Didn't really choose to. When I was 8, so I was growing up in Russia, and I think a good Russian person just has a good musical education, you know. So my mum's like, you have to go to music school. You have there's no, you can't decide. You have to, but you can choose your musical instrument, you know. So I chose to play the guitar because I was imagining I'd be playing songs around the campfire or something. I didn't realize classical guitar would just be like, you know, Bach on the guitar. You know, it wasn't really covers and like Oasis or whatever. But then eventually, because I got into it and I had to keep doing it, I had to graduate. And to make it fun for myself, I started learning chords as well and learning, you know, how to sing. And then I started taking singing lessons. And that's pretty much how I started doing it. But I don't think I would have done it if it weren't for my mum just being like, you know, you have no choice in this. And I don't think she wanted me to become a doctor. Like the musical thing was just kind of a side hustle, you know. She didn't expect it to become like a full-time thing.
I wonder what mum thinks.
That's where she went wrong. I don't know, she promised she'd watch, but I don't know if she's actually here.
I'm sure mum will be watching at some point. We've got 4 people watching so far, which is great.
So it's my mum, my dad, and my brother.
Well, it's great that we've got some people watching. So please, can you make sure that you ask some questions, or if you want to know something, or just comment along. It'd be nice to see what you say, and let me know where you guys are from. That would be nice.
I actually sent my grandma an email to join too, but she just ignored it.
Or she's probably one of the 4 and just didn't bother replying.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Okay. And have you only played the guitar? Have you played other instruments before?
I play a bit of the piano, very badly. But actually, the first live gig I ever did was on a piano. Like I was playing a song on the piano. But that's also the only song I know how to play is the one I wrote. And it kind of died there. I tried to learn the piano for a long time, but I didn't really get to it. And I know about 2 songs on the ukulele, but I think that's about it, really.
So mum and dad are both watching. Yeah, great to have you guys with us. You probably know everything, so I mean, if you don't have any questions, that's great. But, all right, so you played a bit of piano. You said you've actually written a song on piano.
Yeah, so I wrote one when I was 12. And it was one of the first songs I wrote, and that was the first song I played in front of an audience. I think outside of my music school. Yeah, it was a music contest. My mum signed me up for actually. This conversation. We're talking a lot about my mum, so maybe we should move on.
Yeah, well, maybe we can move on. Yeah. But what I find interesting is the difference between songwriting on different instruments, especially between guitar and piano. Like the songs change quite immensely between the 2.
Oh, that's very true. Because I did co-write with a few friends who play the piano, and the songs sounded much more dramatic.
Yeah. More orchestral.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly because it's the kind of instrument it is. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll just ask one more before we sort of move on to another song, because that's what we're here for. What accomplishments do you see yourself achieving in the next 5 to 10 years musically?
That's a good question. I don't really have any expectations for myself. So I just hope to be doing it in 5 to 10 years, you know. I think that would be an accomplishment in itself, because music is quite a hard thing to do, especially full time. So, and I have quite a few friends who've given up over the years. Like the people I started with 10 years ago, not like most of them aren't making music anymore. So I think it will kind of be an accomplishment if I'm just still doing it, you know.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Well,
setting the bar low there, you know.
Okay. Yeah, look, it's it's an incredible industry to be in if you get to the point where Dave Matthews or John Mayer or any one of these kind of big stars or the Beatles and all these sort of guys, they managed to get to one where they were just at this incredible level. But I think the industry at the moment is it's so easy for somebody to get into the industry. But I think to climb up that hill has become more and more difficult to do.
I think it's not just that. I think it's hard to last in the end. Like, I think it's easy to become, because now I have friends who've gone viral on TikTok as well. And it's, it happens, but it also dies very quickly. And I think people's attention spans are so short that they just don't really have the energy to keep following the same person for a long time, unless you're absolutely amazing or.
I mean, you look at like the whole kind of emphasis on playlisting and all of that on Spotify, and you end up listening to hundreds and thousands of musicians, and I can only imagine that it's quite difficult to break into some sort of echelon where you are making a decent salary as a professional musician.
I mean, I think the issue is that none of those things actually bring you any money. So I mean, you can be getting a lot of streams on Spotify, but you're not actually getting paid, a whole lot for those streams. So I think that's more the issue. Because you need to be either selling merch or touring, and even with touring, it's quite hard to actually make a profit.
For sure. So
it kind of is just very disheartening if you are a musician who's doing it full time and you're not one of in the league of the bigger musicians. I think you need to teach or do something like that to actually make a living.
Sure. Or sort of do advertising or, I don't know, like brand deals and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not really music,
No.
So it's kind of, it's a bit of a trade-off.
For sure. But anyway, interesting discussion. What are you going to play for us next?
Well, it's a song called Tree, and it's about... This is kind of about my roots a little bit. I recently graduated and I was writing my thesis about the position of the women in the Leningrad rock underground. Because I was just interested in that time. That's when my mum grew up in that time. Didn't grow up. She was active in that scene. And it was a way for me to get to know more about that time. And I was listening to a lot of Russian music and Russian rock in the 1980s, mostly like 70s, 80s. It was actually very dangerous to be making that music. It wasn't really legal. So they were having these secret concerts in apartments and stuff. And it was really inspiring for me to see how these musicians were making music even though they didn't have to, and there was no incentive. They were really only doing it for music. Whereas now you get people who make music for all kinds of reasons, often not music. And I was listening to one of those bands quite a lot while I was writing my thesis. And it made me also think of my grandmother. It made me think of, how I kind of wanted to go to Russia. It'd been a long time. I haven't been back in 5 years. And that's how this song came about. And I was with my boyfriend, just talking to him about it. And then we watched the Russian film because he was like, "Do you want to watch a Russian film?" And I was like, "You're Australian. Do you watch films with subtitles?" So yeah, that's kind of what the song's about, really. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what's the title of the song?
Tree.
Tree.
Oh yeah, and they're completely randomly named Tree. Whoops. like the one on the aquarium cover. I've been listening to Russian songs a lot lately, imagining a life I never had and that will never be. I dreamt you were on a train to see my grandmother last night. You said you'd like to see it. Russia seems like a mysterious expanse. I said, well, it isn't. I want a tree to grow at the base of my spine, and branches so I can hold you up and shield you and myself too. Mother tree, Mother Earth, I'd have enough strength for us both. But maybe that's exactly my problem. I've always minded living and how much it hurts. We watched a Russian film and ordered Marifina. I was surprised you didn't mind subtitled movies. You were offended because I thought you did. I dreamt of walking through her door. She's getting old, it's time I go. It's been 5 years, but after everything I've heard, I don't think you're listening, you're drifting. You don't drift that much with me, but now there's peanut sauce on your sheets. I want a tree to grow at the base of my spine, and branches so I can hold you up and shield you and myself too. Mother tree, Mother Earth, I'd have enough strength for us both. But maybe that's exactly my problem. I've always minded living and how much it hurts. I turn the Bluetooth speaker off, we go to bed. I wish I were a tree instead. I wish I were a tree instead. I wish I were a tree instead. I want a tree to grow at the base of my spine, and branches so I can hold you up and shield you and myself too. Mother tree, Mother Earth, I'd have enough strength for us both. But maybe that's exactly my problem. Maybe that's exactly my problem.
Wow. Oh, it's another great song.
Cheers.
Oh. So just to put it out there for those who are watching, if you're keen to donate, 75% will go to Erika to help her with, new strings and various different things, microphones maybe.
Or food,
Food, exactly. Yeah, so just another question from me here. What is it about music that makes you feel really alive?
It's performing. It's when I see other people's reactions, or when I play live, I can't close my eyes because I'm always looking at the people, because it's so interesting to see how they're reacting to my songs. And that for me is the part that makes me feel really, really good, or really bad, depending on how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my favorite part of it. It's just like watching people, and like they're making eye contact with people while they're listening to a song, and especially when you can see I've made someone cry. Yes.
It happens frequently that people cry with music.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For me, I find performance, performance can be quite challenging actually. If you're not ready for like being shone in the spotlight, or to be in the front of like 50 or 60 people. It can be quite difficult. And I used to play quite a bit in Cape Town, South Africa. And a really, really good friend of mine taught me a very valid lesson: is, Dom, you need to play with your eyes open. You can't play with your eyes closed, because then you can't communicate with the other musicians. Which is true, it's valid, but like I just wanted to be playing music and not seeing anybody. So I learned a valid lesson there, and that you have to. But it can be challenging to be in front of people, hey?
Yeah, I think a lot of people close their eyes because then they can be in their own world singing the song as they wrote it, and go back to that place where they were when they wrote it. But I don't know. I don't know. I've always liked performing. I've always hated it at the same time because I do get really nervous when I have to play. But at the same time, it's just, the way you feel afterwards. Like it's,
sure.
And if you don't get nervous, you also don't get that rush afterwards, so you kind of want to be a bit nervous before so you can feel really great when you finish.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, and it's like a total roller coaster for sure.
Yeah. It's a bit addictive. Like when you're not playing, everything's kind of a bit boring. It's like your life is kind of flat.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. That's interesting. Maybe I need to perform a little bit more.
Yeah.
All in good time.
It's probably not very good for your heart, but it's
well, it's just the roller coaster vibe that you want, like going, like improvising, playing solos.
Oh god, yeah, it's nice.
All right, so if you could have written a famous song, what would it be?
Oh shit. Well, I know. I can't think of the name now. It's kind of embarrassing. It's the song I want to write, and it's you know that one that goes like, she looked like Marlene Dietrich and she danced like
Keep going.
Shit.
Keep going.
By Picasso and Peter. The name is Peter. Something.
Gabriel?
No. He's got this is the one famous song he has, and it's got beautiful lyrics, and it's basically, I'll just tell you what it's about. It's just like he's describing this woman that they grew up together in Naples, and they were both children in rags. That's one of the lyrics. But he sees her later in Paris when she's this sophisticated woman, and he's describing her, like she's as if she's wearing these really expensive clothes and talking with all these important people, and the Aga Khan gave her a racehorse for Christmas and she keeps it just for fun, and there's all these he's describing this amazing woman, and he's being well, they all think they'll make her fall in love with them, but actually she wants someone like me who knows where she came from, and it's the lyric of it's just such a beautiful story,
I wish you knew what the song was.
Shit. It's so annoying. Maybe Dad will know. If he's watching anyway, he can look it up while he's probably not really doing much of anything anyway, and let us know later. He should know what song I'm talking about.
Come on, give us the name of the song and who the song was
Peter
written by.
Peter is the first name, and then I don't remember what is the. Racehorse for Christmas, and she keeps it just for fun, for love.
Oh.
Do you know? No, you're looking it up. It's one of those painful moments. But another song, is The Gallery by Joni Mitchell. I love as well. Kind of a similar story. But I just love when there's storytelling of the song. That's my
Peter
favorite.
Saarstedt.
Yes, that is him. Yes.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dad.
What's the name of the song? Has he found it?
Yeah, what is the name of the song? We're trying to find it. Let's see. There was a small delay between us and the response, but we get the response.
This is one of my, it's kind of embarrassing. It's one of my all-time favourite songs, and I just don't.
Where do you go to, my lovely?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll be listening to that song after this just to kind of see what it was about. Thank you very much, Dad. Cool. All right. Well, that now we know.
Difficult delivery, but
Well, we'll certainly have a listen to that. All right. Well, there are a few more questions which we can have a look at a bit later. But what's the next song?
okay. All right. I'm gonna play this one. The one I'm gonna play is "You Don't Make Me Want To," and it's about you have like this point where you're friends and you shouldn't have sex, and then you say that to each other, we should not have sex, and there's so much sexual tension that all you want to do is to have sex. And that's kind of what the song is kind of about. It's also about just, my ex-boyfriend is a great guy, and it's like when a guy is really great, it's just like there's something like, this is really nice, but let's just be friends because you're really nice. You're just a nice guy, That's what the song's about, essentially.
Go ahead.
Sitting in your bed and stroking your hair and saying I should stop sleeping with you. And I said, let me know if I'm taking too much. I have a habit of trying to get away with that. And you said, I know. I wondered if I was afraid of intimacy. I can't imagine anyone kissing me. It seems terrifying, maybe I'm just scared of trying to heal. Stuffing sobs in bed and shaking in anger, calling my parents about how I felt like a stranger to myself. I don't cry in bathrooms anymore, I cry wherever I want to, but you don't make me want to. No, you don't make me want to at all. You held me close while we watched a film, and I liked how warm you were and that you said you wouldn't try anything now. I said that I felt bittersweet and you said, well, I guess you did. I wondered if I was afraid of intimacy. I can't imagine anyone kissing me. It seems terrifying, maybe I'm just scared of trying to heal. Stuffing sobs in bed and shaking in anger, calling my parents about how I felt like a stranger to myself. I don't cry in bathrooms anymore, I cry wherever I want to, but you don't make me want to. No, you don't make me want to at all. And it's not that I don't know what I want. I know the logic in the gut, and if you go, I will forget. But if you stay, I'll make you tea. We can talk, and you can hold. You can hold me.
Wow. Can't really get over what these microphones are being able to do.
I keep thinking you're saying wow because it's like, oh, I'm so impressed by your voice or something.
no,
it's like,
no,
oh, these microphones.
No, I am. But I mean, okay, right. So, I'll come clear with the folks that are watching. I asked Erika if she wanted to come on, and she says, "Look, I'm playing nylon. Like, I don't play steel, and I don't have a pickup, but I do have a pickup, but it'd be better to mic it up." And I was like, I don't really have any microphones to do this with, so what am I going to do? I then decided to start looking around for a matched pair of microphones because my mate Michael, who will probably watch this at some point, Michael Watts, he uses an incredible pair of Geffels, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to be spending €1,500 on those. But I can certainly look at a pair of Rhodes, and of course they're from Australia, and why not? So I asked around, like, should I get the M5? I think it's the M10s, or should I get these other ones, these NT5s? And so this other friend of mine who has a microphone company here in Berlin, he says, go for those, the NT5s. You're not going to be disappointed. So I think it's great. It means that you don't have to plug in, and that's a big plus. So I'm happy that it's working. It's great.
Yeah, and the nylon string is just so much nicer too. It's got such
Yeah.
a warm, nice sound. If you can
A
actually
different
mic it
ring,
up.
yeah. Oh, it's great. Oh, well, great musician, great microphones. Oh, it's loving it.
I feel like I forced you to say it now. But
No. Tell me, who are your biggest musical influences apart from Peter Zalstedt?
Well, I mean, he's not so much an influence because it's just the one song. But I listen to his other songs and they're kind of crap actually. But
sorry, Peter.
it's no offense. But it keeps changing. There's like a lot of I think there was a period where I was very much into Joni Mitchell. And because people kept telling me I sounded like Joni Mitchell, I think because like I have blonde hair and I have a guitar, so you know, the first thing people think about it, of course, Joni Mitchell.
Of course.
And so that was. But then I love Lou Reed, for example. Like I love his lyrics, and I think he's the most. You know, he's one of my favorite songwriters for sure. But then recently I've been getting into Adrianne Lenker and Bedouin and Laura Marling. So of course, obviously, like that's also influenced me too.
Cool.
And there's been some men who've been, you know, of some importance, like Bob Dylan. Like now I'm recognizing, for a long time I was like, I hate Bob Dylan purely on principle because I feel like everyone said they loved Bob Dylan, but no one ever said we love, like, you know, Joan Baez or Buffy Sainte-Marie.
Joan Baez, what an artist.
Yeah, and Buffy Sainte-Marie actually too.
Yeah.
Like it's been one of my recent like obsessions. She's amazing, and so many people don't even know of her. So I was like, I'm not going to condone this, you know. Like there's more to folk than than Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, you know.
Of course.
But they are amazing musicians. So this year I've relented, and I'm like, I actually do love Bob Dylan.
But there's some fantastic ones, and I'm glad you mentioned Joan Baez because that's what we used to listen to. Well, yeah. That was one of the albums, well, one of the artists we were listening to when we were kids.
Yeah, Carole King too.
Carole King, of course, Tapestry.
Yeah.
What an album.
Stevie Nicks. I mean, there's so many amazing women out there who've been, you know.
Fleetwood Mac, what a band.
Yeah.
Jeez, like.
And isn't that just amazing? Like, she broke up with a guy and then she made him play in her band. Like, that's just the ultimate symbol of power.
Isn't that, huh? Isn't that? Jeez. Wow. There was Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. And then she wrote breakup songs about him. And
of course.
They play them together.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the feeling in that band, like the atmosphere that you would have been able to cut through it with a knife?
It must have been horrible. I was watching a documentary. I think, what was it? I'm not even gonna try and remember the name. But it was about how Fleetwood Mac recorded what is like their most like seminal album,
Rumours.
Rumours, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of it talks about how that was the start of the band falling apart because there was just so much tension and they just disagreed on so many things and it was kind of very hard to work together. Yeah,
for sure. Can you imagine Lindsey Buckingham and then Mick Fleetwood?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, far out.
It's a good guitarist, Lindsey Buckingham, just out of interest. So we'll ask one or two more questions and then I think we should definitely play some more music. What's next? You've been in Berlin since September, so look at it for the next 2 or 3 years. What's the plan?
I was thinking you're going to say like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, I kind of want to get more into busking and move towards being a musician, you know, making that a living. Because right now I also work as a nanny and it's not ideal. I don't even like children, you know, so...
Some jobs too.
It's kind of it's a tough one. But
So yeah, I think it would be nice to start busking and start, paying my bills with purely just music and get into teaching. I'm going to start volunteering at the Open Music School, which is this music school in Berlin that offers music lessons to people who can't really pay.
That's cool.
So that's going to be cool, and I hope that will be like a bit of a gateway into also paid lessons.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, I want to keep gigging and tour and plan a tour probably, but maybe for next year.
Yeah.
Because I think now everyone's planning a tour, and now that they're possible again. So I've kind of been, this is probably not the best time to do it.
Well, I mean, it's always good to be ahead of schedule.
It's true. Well, the thing is, so everyone's behind now because a lot of the gigs from last year, I have friends who are touring right now doing the gigs that were scheduled for 2020.
Wow, what?
So it's kind of, so it's...
You should be booking festivals there anyway, festivals for next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So it's. I wonder how that's going now. I should look into it. Really, I've been kind of putting it off a bit, but yeah. No, it is the plan to be away for some time next year.
Cool.
Playing around Europe somewhere.
Cool. And maybe doing some more video stuff and maybe some more recording.
I have. Yes, I have I have a recording scheduled for January as well.
Oh, great.
I have enough songs for an album.
Wow.
So,
Where are you doing the recording?
The famous Gold Watch, or else.
Of course. We met Cameron.
Yeah, I've met Cameron. He's great. I asked him to produce it actually, and I write for a few folk music blogs. So I wrote a couple of features on the people who are with the famous Gold Watch label, and I wrote a feature about Cameron as well.
I'm sure you loved that.
Quite funny. Yes.
Captain Cameron, he's bought a boat. Can you believe it?
Yay!
I can't wait to see that. But we are looking towards doing a get together at the famous Gold Watch.
Oh, really nice.
Basically, a musicians only club. We're going to start something like that.
That would be cool.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take over the blue room. You know where the blue room is, with the bar and all that.
Yeah.
So we'll have like 20 or 30 of us. We'll pay a little entrance fee.
Yeah.
But it's all like sort of like a networking type of environment where we see
really
what we're doing, and we might play like one or two songs. We'll see how that goes. But it's basically about like networking and finding out who's doing what and how you're booking and who's doing that, and we'll invite some booking agents and sort of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think the famous Gold Watch is a great like hub.
It's in Weissensee. It's quite far away, but
it's true.
You're
in Spandau, so
well, exactly. No, well, exactly. I mean, I think if it's worth it, if the outing is worth it, which it will be. Then it's fun. I had my birthday. What was it last year, the year before, and we had like 25 of us there. It was just the most incredible evening.
It'd be beautiful.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was amazing.
It's a really interesting place.
It is, and they've done a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd love to just keep supporting them because they really do a good job.
Yeah,
Cameron's
for sure.
great.
Yeah, Cameron's amazing. Yeah.
Well, in saying that, let's play another track or two. What do you think?
Another song? Yeah, that sounds good to me. I can do that.
If anyone wants, if anyone's making any requests out there, you can also do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Mum and Dad, you're out there. Make a request if you want.
I think they're more interested in my new stuff that they haven't really heard.
Probably.
I don't know, it's just their way of shutting down the... If you have requests, just don't
Let's see if there's a response. We're going to see if we get a response out of this. No response just yet.
No.
But maybe you can do one song and then let's see what the request is.
Okay. Alright. I'll do one. It's called what's it called? I'm gonna use that line. I would think for very long song titles. I thought I'd feel liberated, but I just feel like shit. Know that you have anything to do with it. We could have had a bond in the south of France.
wouldn't mind when I said Claire should live with us. I miss the cheeky grin and the twinkle in your eyes, but I'm counting on these feelings to fade away with time. To fade away with time. I said, we might end up having sex again when I see you next. You said you wouldn't mind. I let it to the term and pay it later. I said I'm gonna use that line. I said I'm gonna use that line. I said I'm gonna use that line. My dad said on the phone, and it's clear it's not just sex. So why did you break up with him? I couldn't answer that. I listened to your songs and stood outside your house. Your flatmate texted I could still come back, but the damage is done now. I miss the cheeky grin and the twinkle in your eyes, but I'm counting on these feelings to fade away with time. To fade away with time. I said, we might end up having sex again when I see you next. You said you wouldn't mind. I'll let it to the time and pay it later. I said I'm gonna use that line. I said I'm gonna use that line. I said I'm gonna use that line. You said you wrote a song about me, but you couldn't play it live, it was too bitter and angry. So you only told me the title instead. Am I useful to you? I said, yeah. I miss the cheeky grin and the twinkle in your eyes, but I'm counting on these feelings to fade away with time. To fade away with time. I said, we might end up having sex again when I see you next. You said you wouldn't mind. I'll let it to the time and pay it later. I said I'm gonna use that line. 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 You said you're already using me. There you
What
go.
the people could have several questions about that song. We might not ask those right now.
You can ask. If you want. There's one funny story about one of the lines. It's I listened to your songs and stood outside your house. That's not an exaggeration. I actually stood outside his house. It's my, you know how like there's, because when you watch rom-coms, and I love rom-coms, I've seen like every single one you can think of. And there's always this scene when it's like pouring down, you know, and the person is staring at a bench where they used to sit with their ex-lover, whatever.
Yes.
And having these flashbacks. Well, I mean, I was dating my ex-boyfriend during Corona, so the only place we were together was at his flat, you know. So I was like, I'm going to have my deep moment, and I'm going to go and stand there and think, reminisce about our great times together. And I went to stand there, and after about 2 minutes, he comes to the window. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like,
Practicing the
shit.
rom-com.
No, just ignore it. Like, forget this ever happened. I'm going to go now.
Oh dear. I was just thinking of one here to ask you. Maybe, what about? Oh, right. So this could be quite an involved one, and then we could maybe end off with a song playing out the show, the end of the show. So describe your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician.
Oh god. All right. My favorite part. I mean, I'll start with my least favorite because it's easy. I don't believe I can actually be a full-time musician, and that's one of the parts I hate the most. Because I think it takes a lot of self-confidence to be like, I'm gonna make it. And by make it, I mean I'm gonna make €1,000 a month. You know, it's like, I don't mean like make it as in like Ariana Grande make it. But it's very hard. It's a very hard industry. So, and a lot of the stuff you have to do as a musician is unpaid. Like most of the stuff you do is unpaid. like streaming, you don't really get money from a lot of the gigs. You get paid very little, not enough to actually, and especially if you're not touring, if you're in the same city, it's also quite hard, depending on the size, quite hard to play regularly enough to just make money with gigging.
Totally.
And busking in a city like Berlin, for example, it's very hard to get a permit, so no one bothers to get a permit. But then you can also have the risk of like Ordnungsamt, breaking up your set or taking away your gear, in rare cases, but they can do it.
Oh, they do it.
They definitely do it. So it's kind of, that's the side that I don't enjoy, because it's like, all right, to actually make money, you need to do stuff that, you don't necessarily want to do as a musician, like teaching. I think I would enjoy it, but I think a lot of musicians wouldn't, and like, it's the same with music writing. I do a lot of music writing and music journalism, and that doesn't pay either. So it's like, where is the money in the music industry? It's very hard to find,
It's in publishing, actually.
Publishing, yeah, probably. You're probably right. Yeah,
Publishing and getting people to play your
Sync.
material on their own for advertising purposes, that kind of thing, So it's sync.
Yeah, sync. Yeah,
sync
exactly,
publishing,
yeah.
exactly.
But that's also a certain type of music, like a lot of the time, if you're making something quite niche, it's a bit harder, I think.
Yeah, I think the niche, especially folk music and all of that, is it is a very challenging market to tap into. I mean, look, I suppose if you want to be a commercial musician, then you kind of need to make the decision whether you're going to stay in your niche or whether you're going to kind of become a bit more mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you look at John Mayer's like pretty much gone. He went from his own stuff into mainstream stuff for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then released the country album, which many people didn't quite understand at the point. But then, like, now he's sort of gone back into what he used to be doing in the beginning, but still quite mainstream. He's also superbly busy on social media stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think now as that's one other thing I kind of hate, is that you're expected to do everything as a musician. Like, apart from making music, there's so many other, like, social media is one, but now you're also often expected to be able to record and produce your own stuff too. I mean, for a lot of stuff, it's kind of...
Well, yeah, I suppose if you do want to record every year or, twice a year or whatever, that's... where does that money suddenly come from?
Exactly. And also with, for example, things like sync, you often don't get a long time between, like, you'll get a brief for a song and then you'll get, like, 2 days to actually do it, If you're depending on another person for it, it becomes harder as well, so you kind of have to manage that on your own.
Sure.
But then, so you have social media, you have to think about your branding, your image, your photos, your website. A lot of that is done by musicians themselves, It's not like, because if you outsource everything, no one has the money to do that.
No.
Like, so it becomes very hard, I think.
It is a challenge. It's a major challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, my father's got years and years and years worth of music that he's written, and we're trying desperately to figure out like how we can kind of use that to make some sort of a monetary thing. And I think it's somewhat possible if you get it like published and you've got that sort of thing, but it's also very challenging. Like it's a very challenging thing.
Yeah, there are some platforms that are making it more feasible. Like, I'm also on Patreon and on Bandcamp, and I think Bandcamp supports musicians way more than Spotify does.
Yeah.
But then again, who uses? I don't even use Bandcamp to listen to music, So it's kind of like, I'm like, listen to Bandcamp, but then I never do, so it kind of can't really be, Spotify is easier.
I would say that Patreon and Patreon is going back to the earlier days of music where there were patrons paying for
like the very early
days.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I think it works quite well. You've got to work quite hard to get a paying patron.
Yeah.
So somebody is willing to kind of fork out 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 euro a month or per release or whatever. It's a lot of hard work.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that much. Like, even if you get someone, like, if you get, like, a few people giving, like, €3 a month, it's, like, already, it all adds up to something.
Exactly.
So it's...
I think it's a great platform. I think
Yeah, me too.
I think what they're doing with it is great. There's another one called Coffee, by the way, which also
I've
works
heard
quite
of
well.
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
buy a cup of coffee for
Yeah.
your, yeah.
And you
Nice.
can choose like how much or what the price of your coffee is and all of that. You know?
Yeah.
But I think that's a valid point. Like getting a bunch of people to pay in for this. I think it's great. I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea. It's a good concept.
And like a lot of the time too, I think with gigs or something, like you kind of feel guilty making people pay for it, especially like if you're starting out. It's mostly your friends or people you know anyway who are coming, so it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to make them pay for this, you know.
Look, if you could make 1,500 or 2,000 euros a month off Patreon and off YouTube and all that sort of stuff, then like what a pleasure. Because then I think that's why Patreon is so powerful.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great platform, I think. Yeah, if you know how to use it and.
Now you've got to be quite prolific. You've got to keep
yes. Yeah.
Putting stuff through there, because there's also the potential people finding you on Patreon.
That's a fair point too.
So I think they're working more on that now. That's one of the things that they are going to be working more on, the whole discovery side of it.
Oh yeah.
And so having a feed and all of that coming through of the types of music or the
That's
types
nice,
of people that you follow or that you are a patron of, that kind of thing. But yeah. Anyway, it's been fantastic having you here.
Didn't even get to my favorite part.
Yeah.
About music.
Let's play one last song to kind of play out the show. Thanks everyone for listening. Just by the by, I've had a very good friend of mine here, Clint, who is doing some filming. You won't have seen him yet, but he's going to be helping me to put some really fantastic highlight material together of the show. So we're going to put that up on the YouTube channel, as well as on Erika's YouTube channel, as well as on Origins, which is Clint's YouTube channel. And we're going to see how that all works, like a bit of a collab, kind of spread the love and the vibe out there, you know. But so anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Thank you very much, Erika. Thank you very much for Clint, who brought all his camera gear and all that sort of stuff. And we'll end off with, what song are you going to play?
I smelt of bus stations.
Excellent.
I smelled of bus stations and old books. I didn't think I'd stay, so I packed light. But you rubbed away my edges till you wore me thin. And I used to have fire under my skin. Dancing barefoot in the dark. But I'm so tired of looking for the people that we were before. Pick your clothes up off the floor. Pack your suitcase and lock the door. I'm looking for a missing shoe. Times I got mad at you, and all the times I let you in, and how we used to have fire under our skin. But I'm so tired of looking that we were before. Pick your clothes as I played on my guitar, and how I used to have fire under my skin, how I used to have fire under my skin, how I used to have fire under my skin.